USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
I really suffer a lot of anxiety related to dental procedures.
Listen, lady, I am the last person you will have to explain that decision
So
to. Okay.
I'm glad because
I get a teeth cleaning with nitrous oxide.
This is the plaintiff, Catherine Nicolay. She says she went to the defendant to get her 3 cavities fixed, and the guy was like the demon dentist played by Steve Martin in The Little Shop of Horrors. He chipped one of her good teeth with a drill. The pain medication didn't work, and she was sore and visibly bruised for weeks after the procedure. The guy did a real number on her. She'll never go back to him and is suing the hack for $5,000 for pain and suffering. This is the defendant, Michael Egan. He says first things first. The plaintiff still owes him money, and her balance is now in collections. Secondly, the woman never complained about a thing. The last thing he wants is an unhappy patient. Seems the only thing causing the plaintiff any discomfort is the idea of paying her bill in full. Oh, her. Ha! He's accused of being a dentist who damages.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
Be seated, come to work. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Catherine Nicolay.
Yes.
You are suing Dr. Michael Egan. You are a dentist.
Yes.
For $5,000 in pain and suffering because, according to you, he did a horrible, forceful job on some cavities in your mouth and you were sore and visibly bruised. Tell me what happened.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to expand a little on that, Your Honor. Actually, what occurred is my periodontist informed me that I had 3 cavities which needed attention, not something that he took care of. So I ultimately ended up going to see Dr. Egan. The 3 teeth needed to have the cavities taken care of.
Are these new cavities or old?
Yes.
So,
well, one was actually one which had deteriorated over time.
the filling had deteriorated.
Exactly.
So it was one of those silver fillings and you were going to get it in white.
To the best of my understanding, that's what occurred.
Is that accurate, or was she pulling out 3?
Actually, Your Honor, all 3 had deteriorating fillings on them. They weren't all amalgam
They were
fillings.
deteriorated fillings?
Yes.
They weren't all?
They weren't all silver amalgam fillings. One of them was already a composite filling that had
Right.
decay underneath it.
All right, so go ahead.
In any event, I arrived at the doctor's office and I requested, could I please have some nitrous oxide because I have
'Cause it's
some
fun.
horrible, well, you know, I really suffer a lot of anxiety related to dental procedures.
Listen, lady, I am the last person you will have to explain that decision to.
So
Okay.
I'm glad because
I get a teeth cleaning with nitrous oxide.
it's horrifying for me. But unfortunately, things didn't go well with that. The mask was sort of ill-fitted and the flow of air wasn't continual, so I really wasn't getting any relief from the nitrous oxide. Meanwhile, Dr. Egan had started to...
Was it stepped up all the way? What number was it at?
The maximum that any of them allow is 30% oxygen and 70% nitrous oxide, and that's where it was.
Okay. So go ahead.
It wasn't getting through to me in any event.
Was she in pain during the procedure?
She wasn't. We also used local anesthetic. We just used the nitrous oxide for anxiety, but we were using that also.
The local anesthetic?
Yes.
All right, so was she in pain or no?
It didn't seem to me as though she was.
Did she express that she was in pain?
At one point she did, and we waited a while.
Okay. So he did, 3 fillings is a lot of fillings. I mean, that's not a picnic. Nobody wants that. But so anyway, the work gets done.
It actually, as soon as he began to inject the Novocaine, I had some problems. He was pinching the inside of my cheek and shaking it rather violently, and there were tears rolling down my face. He didn't hesitate at that time. We continued on, and I received...
Were there tears rolling down her face?
I didn't see the tears.
Okay, go ahead.
And he continued to inject the Novocaine. In any event, there was a lot of bruising thereafter and a lot of swelling.
Do you have pictures?
I didn't take any pictures. I didn't anticipate litigation. I almost took a picture to send my brother because it was a pretty horrifying sight, but then I thought better of it, that he didn't really need to see that.
So what day does she have the procedure?
She was in for the procedure on October 3rd.
And does she ever call you and say, well, let me first let you finish. So what is it that happened that should cause him to pay you $5,000?
I need to tell you a little bit about the fillings. The fillings were problematic. They're inadequate. They're rough on the outside. I can't get dental floss in there without it shredding virtually. My bite has been altered. The spacing is faulty. And would you believe the whole area is still sensitive to hot, cold, and sweets. So
did you ever call his office and tell them that?
I'm petrified to go near his office.
Did you go to some other office and have it
Yes, I
corrected?
went to my periodontist and another dentist. I asked them what they thought needed to be done. I do want to finish.
And did you get work done?
Not as yet.
Oh,
because I don't have the money, quite frankly, and it could be very costly. My insurance.
how much is it? What was the estimate that you got?
The estimate was, it started at $3,500. And you see, when he removed the drill apparatus, when he was done drilling, he chipped the front left tooth in my mouth. I have a picture of that, which shows that there's a chip out of my tooth.
I don't understand. If somebody chips my tooth, you may not notice it at the moment, but you certainly notice it when you go home and the anesthesia wears off. Why didn't you call his office to make so that? Because I need to know there's a record of it right away, and not that you're just saying that now, because apparently you folks have billed her the other $400 and something. She ends up paying $100, or it was more than that.
I was trying to
just
figure
a moment.
out what the heck
You end up sending her a bill for the remaining $489.80 in November. On December 4th, she pays you $165.
Yes.
She doesn't say, you crooks, you crazy person who hurt me and chipped my tooth, you battering, I don't know what, I'm going to call the dental police on you. None of that happens. No. She doesn't write you a letter saying she's unhappy. She doesn't tell you she doesn't go to another dentist to get corrections of all the 100 various things you've complained about, all of which are very easily remedied by what is the machine, what do you call it when you sand it down so that it's smoother or whatever?
Well, sometimes we might use the same thing that we would drill, but in a different way to adjust the bite.
To adjust the bite.
Yep.
How's the bite now? How's the bite now? How's the bite now? Here's that little black carbon thing. How's the bite now? And this whole thing you guys do, which drives everybody crazy, when you're trying to get the anesthesia to go all over so that the rest of what he's going to do doesn't hurt you. This is dental work.
As simple as you described, but
but here's the thing that does. What I find disturbing is that you sent a check for $165.
I know it, and actually my husband did, and I said to him, and the reason we haven't paid any more is I said, honey, I didn't realize you were paying this bill. I actually feel like I'm the one that that should be being reimbursed under the circumstances instead of us continuing to pay this individual who inflicted all this pain and suffering on
That
me.
you kept to yourself until you filed a lawsuit 5 months later when they were demanding the rest of the payment?
Oh, no, absolutely not. My husband and family, everyone was made aware of this.
Except for the guy you're supposed to make aware of. And
well, do you think that, would you return
no,
to the
I
same
can totally
office?
understand that you. No,
That's
no,
the last place
let's
I
stop
was
a second.
going to go.
I can understand that you make a decision to your mouth that you don't want to go to him again. But if you're going to sue him for $5,000, you darn well better have your ducks in a row. And that means that it shouldn't look as though you just don't want to pay your bill. So here's how it should look. If the way I expected your lawsuit to look was like this. You go to another dentist to fix a perennial problem that you're telling me is so awful it's worth $5,000 because you can't get dental floss through there with it's not smooth. It needs to be just a little bit rubbed down and the bite needs to be just, these are things that are super simple to fix.
No, actually, the dentist indicated that there might be problems with the filling. He didn't want to touch it until I had a full set of x-rays done, and he said that it appeared that there were issues
Except for
with
here's
the
all I got.
fillings.
I've got you telling me all the evidence that's out there that you didn't bring in. I've got you getting 3 fillings. I've
Well,
got you
everything
paying
I've tried
part of
to
the
show
bill.
you.
I've got you not telling your insurance company, don't pay it, he's a fraud, he did this, he did that. I've got your insurance company paying. I've got them sending you a bill and it getting partially paid. And then I've got recurrent bills that you don't pay, and then all of a sudden it's a $5,000 lawsuit and he has no idea why you're suing him because you've never once complained.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Okay, do you guys think dentists kind of enjoy watching their patients sometimes when they're in pain? What do you think?
No, not at all. Not my dentist.
Okay, not my dentist either, but what do you think?
I don't think so.
Oh, you're a good person to ask, right?
Yeah.
When they tighten the...
No, I don't like that.
I know you don't, but does the dentist sometimes like it? Anybody?
I mean, you gotta find some enjoyment out of dentistry.
Oh, so that's what the enjoyment is?
Yeah, something like that.
See, what you guys have got to watch is Steve Martin and the Little Shop of Horrors, I'm telling you. Awesome. Going inside the courtroom.
Now, let me ask you a question because I'm kind of surprised you don't have a counterclaim against her. How come?
I feel badly for her. I mean, if anybody has been uncomfortable, we work really, really hard to make sure that people are comfortable. I'm aware that it's not a favorite place for anybody to be.
Oh, no, they hate you more than they hate the lawyers.
I know it.
Just only to be surpassed by tow truck drivers.
So I can understand that somebody at some point might be uncomfortable, dissatisfied, in pain, sensitivity, or whatever. And it's a lot more important to me to wind up getting them more comfortable than it is to countersue for anything.
Okay, so you're just kind of letting that go?
Yeah.
Well, normally, if I may, I understand that this was a mistake, and I'm a very forgiving person, but I think there comes a time when a person needs to be accountable for their actions.
Yes, and I am the first person. I've been doing this in front of you for 13 years, and before that, for another 7. I am the first person who is dying to hold people who need to be held accountable.
Yes.
But I demand proof. And that's where you're lacking. My verdict in this case is for the defendant.
Hold on, full time. So the plaintiff comes out here on the losing end of this case here, right next to me, okay? And turn this way. What's your feeling on how this comes out?
Oh, I think it's horrifying. I think I got raked over the coals on this one.
But your actions, you realize your actions after your appearance in his office.
No, she wasn't willing to listen to my...
what could you have said that would have turned this whole thing around?
Well, I guess it would have been nice if she'd just listened to what I had to say and understood the kind of pain and suffering, but she didn't seem sympathetic to that in the
I think she understood
least.
perfectly. All right, head right down there.
All right, ma'am.
It's too bad. All right, so come on in. Did you see Little Shop of Horrors? You know that Steve Martin,
Yes, I
dentist?
do.
How do you like being compared to him?
Well, we get the brunt of a lot of jokes being a dentist, so we're kind of used to it at this point.
Mm-hmm. Why aren't you going to go after her for the rest of the bill?
I feel badly for her. If she was uncomfortable and was too afraid to come in and talk to me, we could have adjusted it and probably made it a lot more comfortable very soon and very easily.
This interview here in the hallway be a little bit better with the nitrous, possibly.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Will you bring some next time? Harvey? Dentists are licensed in every state, and there's a dental board, a state dental board. If you're having a beef with your dentist, you should check with the state dental board before you actually file a lawsuit. They may be able to help you short of going to court. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
Hey, it's Paris. I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and Auto Camp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at Polestar.com.
This is the plaintiff, John Kenny. He says he brought his car to the defendant's car wash for a good cleaning. And when it came out of the machine, the thing was full of scratches on one side. He alerted the defendant immediately. The louse told him he wasn't responsible, and now he needs to get the car repainted, and the defendant must be made to pay. He's suing for $1,845.23, the amount of the new paint job. This is the defendant, Near. He says he washes 200 cars a day, and the plaintiff was the only one complaining of damage. Besides, his brushes are made of soft material, which don't scratch paint. He knows he did nothing to the guy's car and feels he's just trying to get him to pay for prior damage. He's accused of scratching a customer the wrong way.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says the defendant's car wash scratched up his whip, but the defendant says the brushes are soft, so it's impossible. It's the case of car wash, yeah.
Okay, John Kenny?
Yes.
You are suing the car wash company represented here by its owner. You've asked us to refer to you by your first name and not to mention the name of the company, and we'll respect that. You're suing Near for damage that you say was done at the car wash to your vehicle to the tune of like $1,800 and some odd dollars. What happened?
On 3/13, I brought my truck right through his car wash, and as it went through the car wash...
When had you purchased that truck?
The beginning of for February.
And so when were you bringing the truck through there?
The 3/13 it was on.
So a month later?
Yeah, about a month later. And with this is a vehicle that I don't usually drive because I have a company truck.
You bought it used, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. It's what year?
A 2008 with Toyota Tundra.
All right.
And so I took it through his car wash, and as it goes through the car wash, what happens is the brusher spins around, and that makes pushes the mirrors in. So when I went through the car wash, I came out after, and I went to pull out the mirrors, and as I walked around the truck, I looked, and the whole passenger side halfway down was scratched. So I went right over to the man who was working in the car wash, and I talked to him about it, and he says, okay, we'll take it to my detail guy. And the guy had, I made an appointment to get it detailed.
To see if it would buff right out?
Would buff right out. And I came back and that night, and the scratches weren't out. And so I called him back, and he said, there's really nothing else I can do about it, but he says, I don't think that happened in my car wash. I says, I had no scratches on it, well, when I bought it. And I says,
Had you had the car now at that point?
3 weeks.
Okay, and had you washed the car?
Nope.
This was the first time you were washing the car?
Yes, yes. I took it through, so then when I talked to him again, he offered, he says, I don't think it happened. I says, I don't drive the truck at all because I have a company vehicle. I might take it to the store every now and then. As I explained to him, he says, how about if I detail the inside of your car and I give you free car washes? I says, but that doesn't take care of the problem of the scratches. So at that time, I says, well, if you're not going to do nothing, I said, I'm going to have to take you to small claims court.
Okay, who are the gentlemen who you have with you here today?
These are the two of my friends.
Okay. Are they here for moral support, or are they?
Yeah, they're here for moral support.
Did they ever see your truck?
No, they didn't. But I have I have a paper.
Yeah, you brought the wrong friends. Why didn't you bring me somebody who had seen your truck?
Well, I have a paper with it from my older brother that's seen the truck. She checked it all out for me. I have really with two pieces.
Do you have pictures of the damage?
Yes, I do.
Let me see the damage and the. Do you have an affidavit from your older brother?
Yes, and we're from the place I bought it.
And would the place you bought it say it wasn't scratched?
There was no scratches on it, yeah.
Let me hear from you, Nir.
Okay. When people said the car was scratched, when it happened, I tell people, I don't deny it because they get upset. So we have a detail shop. We send it through. 99% of the scratches come out, even if it didn't happen at the car wash.
Right.
So it cost me a couple bucks, but we take care of the problem.
Right.
With this particular car, what happened is he bought the car, never washed it before. So we have a detail shop that we work with dealerships and places who sell cars. Most of these used cars have scratches on them. They bring the cars to us. We buff the scratches off. These scratches are not off forever. They come back. When you put the car through the car wash, you see the scratches again.
So what you're saying is that the used car company probably buffed it out, made it look great, and then they came out when you wash it. Okay, okay, let's go with that theory. If that's the case, then when you take it to your guy, it should look perfect again.
No,
right?
You're right, but no. But there's another scenario. There's a couple scenarios. The second thing is he brought the car to us after a snowstorm. There's salt. There's snow on the car. People use different objects to take the snow off the car. So some people use a broom. Some people use shovels. Some people, God knows what they use. So it could be that the whatever you used to take the snow off, scratch the car.
Did you take a shovel to your new truck and go on the side of it?
Not a shovel.
No.
Or what? A scraper? See, the place where it is, it's on the side going from the beginning to the end.
You're right. Scratches going up. Our brush is turned this way.
No, it's not up.
Yes.
I think it's completely sideways.
They're all sideways.
They're all sideways. And there are a lot of them.
When I came out,
what do
you think it was? Because you have show me the thing you have.
I have a cloth.
Just hand it to my bailiff. Okay. He gets nervous when anybody walks near me.
Yeah. No.
So this is one of those, this is it?
This is what we use to wash the car with. Yeah, exactly. Try to scratch a car with that.
Right, but here's I know, but you know, your side, okay, you're not my first rodeo. Your side will always say it's impossible to ever scratch.
It is impossible.
The truth is, if something gets caught in this, something from the previous car, whatever else, it's going to scratch the next car, right? Okay. Only the next car, not the 200 cars, but the next car.
The brushes are standalone brushes.
Okay, the brushes are the brushes like this?
All the brushes are like this.
Right, everything is like this.
Everything. The whole car wash is made out of this and just high pressure water.
Have you seen a picture? You saw it in person.
I saw the car.
So
but also, his car has scratches all over
outside.
The car's right outside?
Yeah, the truck's
outside.
He's
got scratches all over the truck. He's got
that's why I want to see the truck. That's why I want to see the truck.
And he knew exactly what scratches are from the car wash and which scratches are not. Because I went in the front and I said, oh, you've got more scratches here. And he said, yeah, but this is not from here.
Yeah, but that only gives it the ring of truth.
But how would he know?
Because he knows what scratches are on his car and which ones are not. Don't you?
No, I don't.
You don't know. If you see a scratch on your car, you don't say, what the heck?
There's so many scratches on his car, you wouldn't know which one is yes and which one is not.
I'm going to see there's so many scratches on his car. I'm going to go take a look at the car. Court's in recess.
All right. So do car washes now scratch cars? Can these brushes actually scratch a car?
I think absolutely. Maybe not the brush, but if it's a hand car wash, maybe you've got...
hand car washes, I thought were supposed to be better.
Yeah, they
use chamois, I thought.
They should be better, but if the rag's dirty, if the cloth's dirty.
Can the brushes on a car wash, can a brush on a car wash scratch a car?
Absolutely. I have an Escalade, and they usually get on a staircase and scrub the top. And I always end up...
But that's not the brushes, that's the person.
Well, no, they're using brushes, hand brushes.
What do you think, sir?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's always a few little scratches afterwards.
I got to look at my car more closely. This is actually worrying me. Going inside the courtroom.
Nice truck.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read from your complaint. In the beginning of February 2013, I bought a 2008 Toyota Tundra for around $22,000. We had a lot of snow this past winter up here in the Boston area. Very true. And my car got dirty very quickly. I brought my car to the defendant's car wash to get cleaned. Okay. First, I want to tell you that I believe with every fiber of my being that you believe that it happened there. I know that.
100%.
Stop. What are you doing? God. I believe that. That's why I asked you, like, early on whether you had washed a car yet. You know, because the problem is that when you've got the snow and the snow salt and like all the environmental factors that end up in it, you can't really see these kind of scratches on. I also probably don't believe that the used car lot sold it to you that way. I'm not sure about this whole theory of this. I'm not sure that I believe any of that, because then when the car was detailed, these things would magically go away again. But those two scenarios aren't the, you know, like I've got, this isn't a criminal case. You don't have to prove it beyond it. Put your hand down. You know. Yes. Honest to God. I believe that you believe it. The problem is that I have to feel, by a preponderance of the evidence, that it happened there. Not beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt like a criminal case, but a civil case still requires proof. And I have to believe, I can't just look at him and say, oh, well, he's a business owner, deep pocket, he's got to pay. I can't look at him and say, as you had said several times, you noted in your complaint, he drives a 2012 Bentley. That's his baby, this is my baby. You know, I get that. That's not how I decide a case, obviously.
Yes,
I know you're frustrated, but that's not how I decide a case. I have to decide a case on whether you have tipped the scale, whether it was more likely than not that it happened there as opposed to someplace other than there. I went out there and carefully looked at the truck, and there are these same types of scratches all over the truck, and not just on that side. That side is very pronounced, I understand. You know what I think probably happened? That maybe you got too, you know, to me, because of the way that it goes like this and then loops back, to me those are tree branches maybe, with all the snow that was happening and everything. I don't know, but if I don't believe with my being that it happened there, I can't make him pay $2,000 to you. And the scratches are in so many other places that weren't caused by a car wash, and the same types of scratches that, you know, I mean, I don't think you're a con artist, which I see a lot of, trying to get, you know, the deep pocket to pay for. I'm just saying I can't look at the way these are and be convinced that it happened at a car wash. I just can't. And because of that, I cannot rule in your favor. I rule in favor of the defense. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Judge Milian was ready to have you prove it to her just by a preponderance of the evidence, but you couldn't produce it.
Well, those scratches weren't there, and then they were there after the car wash.
What else could it have been?
I have no idea.
Could it have been something else during the snow, maybe, if you think about it?
But how? I mean, they're halfway up on the truck.
I don't know. Well, buff them out.
Yeah.
All right, good luck. Head right down this way. All right, the car wash guy is next, so come on in here. And has this ever happened to you before? Happened to you before?
It does happen that people blame the car wash on different things. I couldn't agree with the judge more. This guy really think that my car wash did the damage. But
how come your buffing out guy, your detail guy, couldn't get rid of those scratches for him?
The scratches that he had on the car are really like gouges. I mean, these are deep scratches that there's no way they happened at the car wash. He came in with a dirty car, and when we cleaned it, you can see the scratches.
Maybe the dirt got dragged by the brushes and scratched.
No,
maybe.
No, there's no way.
Harvey?
Got to tell you, before you leave a car wash, it's a good idea to actually walk around the car and see if there's damage. If you leave, you will never pin damage on the car wash. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
This is the plaintiff, Stuart Berkowitz. He says he lost 5 huge trees in Superstorm Sandy and hired the defendant to take care of removing them and the stumps. The guy got rid of the trees, took out 3 stumps, and then was never heard from again. He had to hire someone else to finish the job, and he wants to be reimbursed for the $294.95 it cost him. This is the defendant, Gene Hernansky. He says he removed 3 of the stumps on the plaintiff's property, but informed him the other 2 were too big to get rid of with the equipment he had. He then notified the plaintiff he would need to bring over his backhoe to finish up. Well, the weather was very bad this winter. He told the guy he'd be over in the spring, was ready and willing and able, but the impatient man sued him instead. So here they are. He's accused of stumping a customer.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff hired the defendant to remove tree stumps after Hurricane Sandy and says the guy skipped out without doing the full job. But the defendant says he needed heavy equipment to finish, but the defendant jumped the gun and sued. It's the case of I got junk from a trunk.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Stuart Berkowitz, you are suing Gene Hernansky.
Yes.
And Dalzell's Lawn and Landscaping. You have power of attorney for Dalzell's Lawn and Landscaping. All right, for $294.25, the cost to complete a job that you say you had paid Gene Hernansky for and that he did not complete. Tell me what's going on.
Yes, Your Honor, on approximately November of 2013, after Sandy hit my area, several trees were destroyed and left my
What area is your area?
Manalapan, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I contracted Mr. Hernansky to clear everything in my backyard.
What was he clearing? How many trees?
Approximately 5 trees.
5 big trees?
Yes, and full debris. It says so right here in my
Let me see your
receipt.
contract. Okay. How much are you paying?
I paid him $1,100.
Okay, so go on.
He left 2 enormous stumps in my backyard. I tried calling several times. First it was cold weather, then it was warm weather, numerous excuses, and then the last 4 or 5 phone calls I made to him, he never responded.
Cutting and removal of all fallen trees and trees that are split from Hurricane Sandy.
Yes.
Rake and remove branches, bark, pine cones, etc.
And all
entire
debris.
area will be cleaned of any debris.
Correct.
$1,100, okay. Now, he is who you hired.
Correct.
Okay, and then you were subbing part of it to this other company?
No, I was subbing off of Mr. Danzel. I was just doing his stumps, Your Honor.
Oh, you were just doing the stumps?
Yes.
Okay, so stumps were part of the agreement?
Yes.
Okay. And so you were doing the stumps and Dalzell was doing everything else?
Yes.
All right, how many stumps were there?
6.
6 stumps, is that accurate?
Okay, I'll accept that.
And how many stumps did you do?
4.
And why didn't you do the other 2 stumps?
Because I didn't have my backhoe to dig them out at the time, and I told him in the spring I will return when weather was permitting.
Why does he have to wait?
Well, because the 2 stumps that were in the ground, I had to dig out with the backhoe.
I understand, but you have a backhoe, right?
But it was down at the time.
It was what?
Down broke at the time.
Ah, now we're getting to it. So when did you get another backhoe and/or fix that backhoe?
I fixed the attachment like 3 months later.
Ah, but see, none of that is in his contract that he has to wait. Why didn't you just use somebody else's backhoe, rent a backhoe, and just finish the contract?
Right.
Right, because that costs more money. All right, so now you had to pay somebody $294 to get those 2 other stumps out. You did that what month?
I did that in March of, the contract, I got an estimate in March, and I called Mr. Hernansky again. I left a message.
How many times had you called him and left messages?
About 6.
And he wasn't returning your calls? Were you not returning his calls?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
How come you said something in your answer to the complaint about how I probably should have answered his calls?
Well, I did in the beginning until he got nasty, and then I says, well, you can wait. When the weather's right, I'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, but except for that, not so much. I'm not buying that. Now, what was all this stuff in your answer to the complaint about how he paid for some stumps but not other stumps? So the stumps I didn't do, he hadn't paid for. What was that? All that stuff? Because I don't hear any of that.
Right, it was $75 per stump. I only charged the gentleman for 2.
Wait. You got a contract. You charged him $1,100. He paid you $1,100.
No, I didn't charge the $1,100. Mr. Danzel did. I subcontracted just the stumps, Your Honor.
Stop. Is this a contract with Denzel or with you?
Danzel.
So this is your contract with Dalzell. Do you have a contract with him?
That was his contract that he gave me.
Is this the contract that you gave him?
I did not. No,
Who gave him that? Who'd you meet? Who'd you hire?
This gentleman
Did you
right here.
talk to each other and did you sell this are you the one who closed the deal?
No, Thomas did.
Who's Thomas?
Mr. Danzel.
Dalzell.
Danzel, yes.
So
it's not true.
He's kind of unmistakable.
I only subcontracted the stumps. or $75 a stump. Or planting
Do you have a
grass.
separate contract with him? Is that what
I
you're
have
saying?
nothing. Just
No,
my
I
word.
mean verbal.
That's it.
No, but that's my question. Do you have a
Right.
separate verbal contract with
Right,
him?
where I was to go in and pull the stumps out at $75 a piece.
So then where's the subcontract? Do you understand what the phrase subcontract means? Maybe you don't.
We don't have it in writing, it's just.
That doesn't matter. Subcontract means that this, included in this, is stump removal, which I can't help but notice isn't there. Including in this is sod, which I can't help but notice isn't there. Did you pay him a separate money from the $1,100?
I paid him the entire $1,100.
You paid him the entire.
That's correct.
I have like two totally wildly different stories going on here.
Okay, so if there's a 3-month delay because the backhoe is broken, can the customer end the deal? Just say, hey, I've waited too long.
Yeah, 3 months is definitely too long to.
But if there's a good excuse because the backhoe was broken.
Depends on the contract.
Well, the contract doesn't say if the backhoe breaks. No, but the contract doesn't say anything. What do you think?
I think so. Yeah.
You can end the contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 months is too long.
I think it depends on how it broke.
Well, does it really depend on how it broke?
Right.
We'll talk about it later. Going inside the courtroom.
Did you get the $1,100 from him?
No, I didn't. He paid me $150 cash. That's it.
I'd like to try to understand something that I don't get about this. I'm looking at a contract, which is supposedly between you and Dalzell, the gentleman who's not here, Thomas Dalzell. And in that contract, it says cutting removal of all fallen trees and trees that are split from Hurricane Sandy. Rake and remove branches, bark, pine cones, etc. Entire area will be cleaned of any debris. It doesn't say resod and it doesn't say stump. Are you saying that that was part of this contract?
Correct. And I subcontracted somebody else to remove the 2 stumps.
But I know about that. That's what you had to do later because you say he didn't do what he was supposed to do.
Correct.
But first I have to get to the point where I
Okay.
see that he's
I
supposed to
understand.
do something.
Right.
What agreement do you have with this fellow who is not Thomas Dalzell?
First of all, the agreement was with Gene, not Thomas Dalzell.
But you understand that this is signed and submitted to you by one Thomas Dalzell, and the top of the proposal says Dalzell's apostrophe S with Dalzell's address. And you say you never had the original deal with him, that it was
Right.
Dalzell.
Right.
And according to you, Dalzell calls you and brings you in?
Yes.
Okay. But you say no, but that's, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's starting to look like a duck. I mean, I don't know what to do with this. Do you have a different contract with him that you could show me, or is this your
No.
one original contract?
That's the only contract I have.
Can I see your license?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm starting to think he's Dalzell.
No, he's not. I know Tom.
Okay. So you know Thomas Dalzell.
Yes, I do. And I'm pretty upset now about that.
Yeah.
You still need a license?
Now, not really. So Dalzell gives to him an affidavit for him to bring to court that says as follows: 11:30, Gene Hernansky and myself, along with 3 of my employees, cut and removed fallen trees from the home of Stu Berkowitz. We did this work for $750, which Stu paid us that day. That's not $1,100. So why the difference?
I gave all the money to him.
How much money did he pay to you or Thomas?
He paid me $150, Your Honor.
How much money did he pay to Thomas?
I don't know.
What did Thomas pay you?
When we were done, I think $100 and some.
In addition to the $150 that you got
Yes.
from him. Gene had been charging $75 per stump for all the jobs he assisted me on. Gene told me he had pulled half of the stumps out and was paid $150, which he gave me $75. So this is a job that, since he gives to you, he pays you half, you get half?
Yes, I gave him $75 for hooking me up with the job.
Did you hand him $150?
I don't remember.
According to you, he handed you $150 for 2 stumps.
Yes.
2 or 3?
2, I did 4, but I only charged for 2 because 2 was out of the ground already.
Say it again? 2 was that?
2 of the stumps were out of the ground already, so I just had to push them up into the pile.
So you charge him for 2, which you used a stump grinder for?
No, a front-end loader.
A front-end loader.
Yes.
But the other 2 were too hefty and would require
Well,
a back load.
They were in the ground, Your Honor, and I had to dig them out with a backhoe. And my backhoe was down at the time. It's an attachment.
So your testimony is, I did not get paid for the other 2.
Yeah,
I did not charge for them because I did not do them.
that's right.
And he did not pay me or anyone else for them.
No, ma'am.
When you hand me the contract with Dalzell, why are you suing? Oh, you did sue Dalzell. And then Dalzell chooses not to be here today and sends you. Go ahead. What did you want to say?
I was never told about his backhoe problem. He never called. I haven't spoken to him in over a month and a half. He's never returned my phone call to me. And I was told by the lawn service that unless the stumps are removed, they can't work on my backyard. So I independently
Who's the lawn service? You had a third party that I don't have here.
Tom DeZell's in the lawn service.
Wait. Are you kidding me?
I had no idea about this arrangement.
Okay, stop. Hold on. Is there another contract with Tom DeZell?
For my lawn, not for this.
Right. And does that contract for the reseeding, so then this doesn't include reseeding, like you said.
Correct.
Reseeding is in another contract where you're paying DeZell how much?
Just part of his lawn care, whatever the contract was. I don't have it in front of me. I pay him per cutting, $35, and clean up, I just paid him $900. But that has nothing to do with him. He just conveniently used Denzel's contract, but all my work is with
but you know who Denzel is. Denzel's your guy who you always use.
But I didn't know the relationship they had, Your Honor. I'm telling you that the stump removal and tree removal was strictly with Gene Hernandez.
Right, but see, I have to decide. Let me explain something to you. That's fine. Then let's put this away, and then let's talk about the stump removal and grinding and whatever that is strictly between you two. Do you have a writing with him documenting what you were supposed to pay?
That's the only contract.
Yeah, but no, because this is your guy who always does your work, who is past, present, and future. This is the guy who does your lawn care before and is doing your lawn care afterwards, and who provided an affidavit for him that his deal is just to get $75 per stump. And he says all this guy ever paid me was $150. If I worked with DeZell to do other stuff, that's between me and DeZell, and I got paid for it separately. The only thing this gentleman ever paid me was $150. That's all I charge him for, even though I removed 4 stumps because 2 of them I just pushed. But the other 2 is prospective work. I didn't get paid for it. I didn't do it. Go hire somebody else. He's annoying me. He's rude. I don't feel like working for him anymore. That's his version. So how can you sue me for what it cost you to get somebody else to do it when I only got paid for the work I did do? You didn't. See, in other words, for you to collect from him the work you had to pay somebody else to do, you have to prove that you paid him for that work that you got somebody else to do. And now you're telling me that it's exactly how he says, which is a verbal contract between you two for the stump issue, a contract with DeZell for the tree removal issue, another contract I don't have in front of me with DeZell for the sodding issue, which you have to finish your contract with him for before he sods. But if he didn't feel like doing it and you ended up having to pay somebody else, then you just had to end up hiring somebody else. Because this guy just works by the stump and couldn't finish the job. Then why does he have to pay you $300? The answer is no. Verdict for the defendant.
Well, here he comes slowly and deliberately out of the courtroom here with what on your mind after this verdict goes against you?
He lied in court. That's very obvious. It's my fault for not getting better documentation.
Yeah, that's always a good idea. You could have had his name on some kind of a contract. You had contracts with the other person.
Well, that's my fault.
All right, that person is still, whoever that person is, still does your work, right? Your regular work?
As of today, he's not going to do it anymore.
All right, right down there. All right, come on out here. All right, so you're off the hook.
Yes.
And so how are you feeling coming out of here?
I feel very good. The judge was very good. I think everything was the way it should have went.
Right.
I didn't do what I didn't do. I did what I was supposed to do.
You're in the stump business?
No, I just do tree removal at times, when there's jobs.
Right, so storms?
Storms, yeah.
Big for you?
Big storms are great.
How do you get a huge stump out of the ground anyway?
With a backhoe.
What does that mean? What do you do?
It's an excavator, like you tear it out.
Tear it out?
Rip all the roots around it out and pull it out.
Whew. Hurts. Harvey?
A lot of people think that if somebody breaches a contract, you're entitled to money automatically. Not so. Even if the contract is breached and it's the other person's fault, you still have to prove you suffered damage. If you can't prove that, you get 0.